Please open to page 213 in your student journal. Today in lesson 7.2, we're going to be multiplying polynomials. More specifically, binomials and trinomials. I'm going to show you 3 different methods for multiplying our binomials. And I'm not showing you 3 methods to try to confuse you. I'm showing you 3 methods so you have a choice. Do not expect that you learn all 3. It's just my hope that by the end of the lesson, you feel comfortable with at least one of them. Let's take a look at our very first method. Question number 1 says use the distributive property to find the product. Now when I look at question 1, I'm multiplying 2 binomials. Remember, binomials have 2 terms. So we have an x and a negative 2, an x and a negative 1. So we have 2 binomials. In order to use the distributive property, I want to first start by turning my subtraction into plus and negative. It just helps me when I distribute. Do you have to do that? You don't have to. It just helps me make less mistakes. In order to use the distributive property for the binomials, we're going to start by taking the first binomial and splitting it apart. Then we're going to multiply each part of the first binomial by the second binomial. So we have x minus 2 that we split apart. X minus 1 is our second binomial. Now when we distribute, x times x, now we're multiplying, so we have to add our exponents. So this will change to x squared. X times negative 1, negative 1x. Let's do the same thing with the negative 2. Negative 2 times x, negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 1 gives me a positive 2. After I distribute, I have to now look at my result and see if I have any like terms that I can combine. As I look at my 4 different terms, I notice I have a negative 1x and a negative 2x that I can add together. So the x squared just stays the same. Negative 1x plus negative 2x gives me negative 3x and our plus 2 at the end. You can also write this minus 3x instead of plus and negative. These 2 answers are the same. It does not matter to me which way you choose to write those. What I'd like you to do here is take a minute to pause and try out number 2. When I start number 2, I'm going to change my subtraction to plus and negative. I'm going to take my first binomial and I'm going to split it apart. And then multiply each piece of the first binomial by the second binomial. Distribute b squared plus 2b negative 3b plus negative 6. Combine my like terms. Or again, you can use subtraction instead of adding a negative. These are the same. Now I realize some of you might be thinking, oh, I really like that method, and others of you might be thinking, that one confused me a little bit. So if you're not sold on the first method, let's move on to method number 2. Method number 2, we use boxes to help us multiply our binomials. In the boxes on the left, I enter in my first binomial. But I have to make sure that my signs are correct. So when I enter in the second piece, I have to make sure that I put a negative 3. If you need to, change subtraction to plus and negative. In the top boxes, I put the second binomial. Now I multiply what's in the first row, first box, by the second column, first box. So x times x is x squared. First row, second column, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Second row, first column, negative 3 times x. Then second row, second column, negative 3 times negative 2 gives me positive 6. Now all I have to do is take what's in the resulting 4 boxes and add those pieces together. Combine my like terms. And again, if you want to do subtraction instead of plus and negative, that's the same thing. You don't have to write both answers, you just pick which one you like best. Take a pause here and try out number 8. In example number 8, I need to put my first binomial in the first column, my second one in the top row. Y times y would give me y squared. Y times negative 6, negative 6y. 1 times y just gives me y. 1 times negative 6 is just negative 6. Now you can fill in those boxes in any order that you want, whatever makes most sense to you. After you have the 4 middle boxes filled in, add together the resulting 4 pieces. Combine your like terms, and again, instead of plus and negative, you can just have subtraction signs. Either answer is okay. So far we've explored 2 different methods for multiplying our binomials. I have one final method to show you. And it's known as the FOIL method. It's known as the FOIL method. What FOIL stands for, FOIL is an acronym, which means each letter stands for a specific step. The F stands for first, the O stands for outside, the I stands for inner, and the L stands for last. So when we look at our 2 binomials, the F part, we want to multiply the first term in each binomial together. So that would be our x and our x to give us x squared. The O part means I take the 2 outside, or the 2 outermost terms. So that's going to be the x and the negative 3. X and negative 3. The I stands for our inner terms. That's going to be our 2 and our x. And last means the last term in each binomial, so our 2 and our negative 3. Same as we've done with our other methods. After we find each letter, we add the results together. Combine our like terms, and as always, add a negative or subtraction. Same answer, please do not write both. So just take a second and pause here. Try out number 15 using the FOIL method. We start with first, H and H. h squared. Then we go to the outermost terms, which will be the h and the 4. Then we move to the innermost terms, which will be negative 2 in h. And then we go to our last ones, which are negative 2 and 4. Add together the resulting 4 pieces. Combine your like terms. Again, either answer is okay. At this time, what I'd like you to do is take a pause and try number 17 whatever way you would like. Any of the 3 methods. Try 1, try 2, whatever you feel best. I'm going to go ahead and write the answer up there, so whenever you're ready, you can continue on and check. I'm not going to show all 3 methods, so whichever method you choose, the 4 terms you should start with, you should get a 12n squared, you should get a 16n, a negative 3n, and a negative 4. After combining like terms, this is what your result should be. The final thing I want to show you today is if we multiply a binomial times a trinomial. And unfortunately, if you liked the FOIL method doesn't work here. The distributive method and the box methods both work perfect, so I'm going to show you both of those today. Let's start with the distributive method. I'm going to take my first binomial and I'm going to split it apart, and I'm going to multiply each of those pieces by the trinomial. Going to go ahead and distribute. We have an x times x squared. That gives me x to the 3rd. X times x is x squared. X times negative 1 is negative 1x. 2 times x squared gives me 2x squared. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Now I have to hunt through and find my like terms. I don't have any other x to the 3rd, so that's going to stay. But I do have a positive x squared and a positive 2x squared to give me 3x squared. I have a negative 1x and a positive 2x. That's going to give me positive x. You can write positive 1x if you'd like. And then I just have a negative 2 left on the end. We can also use the boxes. Into the first column, I'm going to put my x and my minus 2. And then across the top, I'm going to put the trinomial, x squared plus x minus 1. I multiply x and x squared, x times x times negative 1, negative 2 times x squared, negative 2 times x, and negative 2 times negative 1. Now, by doing that, I just realized I made a big mistake in the last one, guys. I forgot, and this is such a common mistake, this should be a negative 2x that I distributed. So this should be a negative 2x squared, a negative 2x, and a positive 2. So my end result should be negative 3x squared negative 1x squared, and then a negative 3x plus 2. That's such a common mistake. Again, I forgot it's a negative 2. I forgot the negative part. So when I distributed, I should have gotten a negative 2x squared, a negative 2x, and a positive 2. So positive x squared, negative 2x squared gives me a negative 1x squared. Negative 1x, negative 2x gives me negative 3x. And then I should have a positive 2 on the end. So let's go ahead and finish our box method. Add all of our boxes together. Combine our like terms, and we'll get the same result. X to the third minus x squared minus 3x plus 2. We'll get the same result. Doesn't matter what you like. So take your pick. Try out one of those methods. Try out question 23 for me. Again, I'm just going to write up here the terms you should have. You choose your method. So we should end up with a 6n to the third plus 3n squared plus 4n squared plus 2n minus 10n minus 5. If we combine our like terms, 6n to the third plus 7n squared minus 8n minus 5. So it's my hope that now, as you move on to your progress check, it's my hope that you at least have one method that you feel comfortable with using to multiply. If not, please ask me for help on your progress check, and I can go through whichever method or methods you think might work best for you. So at this time, go ahead, try out your progress check. Use any of your notes on it that you would like.